Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
And we're up to episode 104 this fine December evening. How's it going, Trevor?
Going pretty well.
Cool.
Ready to rock and roll and get into some
rock and roll
podcasts.
and design some games. Well, let's do it. And I think, like last week, because we had a bit of fun with that last week, I think we might jump back into some remakes of old games that we played as children and think about what they could be with the same sort of themes or maybe even just the same name or characters, whatever we can take from them, bring them into the modern era, because nobody likes new IPs. No publisher's going to publish a new IP. Find a remake or a reboot or a rejazz, and they'll greenlight that in no time. So, would you like to go first, or do you want me to?
I'll let you go first.
All right, I'll kick it off. So I was thinking about this one today. I can't remember. It just jumped out of the depths of my memory. Did you ever play an old game called Thexder?
Yes, I did. To the point that I played it last week.
Jeez. You are going through this whole retro DOS game phase, aren't you?
Yeah.
1987 Thexder. So you're going to know more about this than I do because I haven't played it in decades. But basically, you play a robot who can also transform into a plane. It's sort of a platformer, obviously / shoot 'em up, in a way. So yeah, I don't know. Like, there's obviously a bit of a Transformers vibe, but just that limited thing of, giant robot blasting things with your laser, being able to transfer at any point into the plane. Mm-hmm. And so what sort of weapons did the plane, what sort of weapons did what was the purpose in Thexder of each of the different transformations?
So basically the robot, he could basically hold down the spacebar at the time, and it would just do an auto lock on with the laser that he had. So it would kill all the enemies in front of him, no matter whether they were up above him or below him. It'd just lock onto the nearest enemy and basically wipe them out as quickly as it could. Mm-hmm. When you transformed into the ship, it could only fire forwards.
Okay, was it more powerful?
Just focused.
Was there a purpose to it then?
Well, sometimes you needed to fly around the level because the robot could only jump so far. So the ship could definitely fly around a lot more. So prior to last week, the last time I played it, I was like 8 or 9 years old. And I've got to say, I never got past the second level. Well, last week, I didn't get past the first level. It's that hard.
It's a very hard game. All right, well, look, here's what I'm thinking. There's obviously an aspect of puzzle solving with traversal. You can only get past certain sections, certain areas. There's obviously a bit of sort of semi-reflex-based shooting. I think maybe, though, instead of making this a reboot where you're a robot who turns into a plane, can we come up with a different vehicle and think about the traversal options that would sort of give us?
Okay.
So obviously a plane is being able to fly, and it was a very, four-directional kind of, you can just fly up, down, left, and right sort of thing. We should say this is a side-scrolling platformer for those who haven't played.
But in the new one, it is a
I
3D
assume we
world.
go full 3D.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, do we go boat? Do we go motorcycle so you can kind of have to do jumps to get to higher places, or be able to go down sort of narrower things that as the big hulking robot you can't do?
So what I'm picturing is that you can transform between. Yeah, I really like the motorbike. The skinniness of it sort of helps with the with movement.
And there's just a lot of fun in those sort of
place.
3D games of riding a motorcycle around. The sort of tight turns, but possibly flipping the whole bike, that sort of thing.
I was sort of originally thinking, can I say bicycle? But then I thought,
just
this
a
massive
regular
robot just getting squashed into these tiny tubes.
Yeah, conservation of mass there might be an issue. Suspension of disbelief.
Whereas
a motorcycle, I feel like you could at least,
motorcycle
semi-legitimately fold a big robot with lasers and missiles into a motorcycle.
What I like is the further that you go, the more that you can actually unlock. So maybe you can later on unlock the flying and all other parts.
Well, yeah, I really like the idea of, and look, this actually reminds me a little bit of the first Crackdown game do you remember in those games, like as you leveled up your vehicles, or as I think it was as your player leveled up, the vehicles you'd go into or turn into or whatever it was. I think it was when you got into a vehicle would like hulk up and bulk up as well and be more impressive.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm wondering if there's a bit of that as you kind of unlock or level up the different, and maybe you can turn into different vehicles, or maybe it's just that the motorcycle itself, like now it's got wing attachments that you can, deploy. And yeah. Actually, that might be just to mix it up and not go full plane. Maybe there are different aspects, because I like the idea that you unlock additions to your robot which affect both of your modes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you unlock wing sort of things that maybe in robot mode they are like extra armor on your sides or something to protect you from people flanking you. But and I like the idea of a really semi-realistic transformation in that you can see sort of how all the bits might fit in. And so when you transform down to the motorcycle, now these side things become like glider wings that can kind of deploy in and out. And maybe later on you get like a big jet, like a big rocket jet that, in your robot mode, I'm picturing almost like Reinhardt from Overwatch doing his big blast forward. Mm-hmm. But as the motorcycle, I mean, it still gives you a blast forward, but it can be used then to like really boost, maybe travel really far. Like if you go off a big jump, glide and boost, then that's a way you can get across this sort of huge open world really quickly.
Well, what I like about a lot of the games nowadays is open worlds in which you can only get to certain areas because you don't have the means to get somewhere else. So the idea of having, basically a bridge is broken down, so therefore you can't get from between this island and that island.
Yeah, but I mean, very light Metroidvania-esque.
Yeah.
Gating off areas based on your skills or tools.
Yeah, so one of the first areas that you go by, you go, wow, there's a massive castle on that island over there, but there's no way to get there.
You do a few little, there are some like jumps at the edge, and you just like ride your motorcycle off and just plummet into the water, and you're just like,
I'm never
there's
gonna
no
make it.
fucking way I can get over there.
And
Yeah,
then
like
when you finally get the jets and you get to go in there and you're literally riding through the castle and
I like the idea you get the glider and you're like, all right, now I can get over there. But like that's not it either. Now it just takes longer before you fall into the ocean. You get a bit further, you get like halfway there and you're like, fuck, what else do I need? And then later on you get the jet and it's like, fuck, all right. And you just jump up in the air, deploy the glider, fire your jet off and just sail across that fucking ocean. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then you get hit by an invisible wall.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, I need the like phase shifter addition to my robot.
Yep. So basically, you got to become the Flash and phase between.
Yeah, fast enough that you just phase between the molecules of I don't know, whatever it is, the fucking speed dimension.
Absolutely,
speed force.
We love it.
Yeah, that's cool. I think there's some interesting stuff you could do there. Thexder 2018.
Nice.
Means we have, about 27 days to make this game. We want it to be 2018. All right. Okay. 3, 2, 1, pitch me.
3, 2, 1, pitch you. So I had a couple here, and I'm like, do I want to go this one? I'm like, no. And then I'm like, ooh, I know, rather than a remake or a reboot, a sequel to Little Big Adventure.
Well, there already was one.
The sequel to Little Big Adventure 2. Then.
Oh, that was... wait, was it...
Twinson's Odyssey.
Twinson's Odyssey was the second. But it was, okay. Little Big Adventure. All right, you're going to have to remind me, and probably our audience, of this game.
Okay. So I have talked about it once before.
Yes.
But basically...
And I'm sure every single person listening has listened to our entire backlog, so they all know about it. But just in case...
Just in case. So there's this alien planet in which these 4 different alien beings live in harmony. Except for in the first one where, like, pretty much the alien being of the character that you played, called Twinson. I can't remember his actual alien being name, like what the species was called. But basically they were all being imprisoned and all this sort of stuff. And you found out that you had magic powers that would be... When you wore this special cloak and had this magic amulet, you could throw this ball and you had different styles of movement that you could be in, whether it be a sporty mode, a normal mode, or an aggressive or a sneaking sort of mode.
Oh, I do remember those modes. Yeah.
And
Interesting.
a lot of the gameplay was in like isometric, but then in the second game they went to sort of like a 3D on the outside world, and then isometric when you're indoors. And it was sort of like an adventure game crossed with, well, it was an action adventure game.
I feel like it was really, yeah. I feel like I remember the action was really difficult. Like, I just remember dying all the time if I ever had to fight anyone, because it was just quite difficult controls and things.
Yeah. So the idea of it being sort of like an action adventure set in this world that basically you're walking around, you're helping people, you're also like killing enemies and doing all that sort of stuff. It seems like it's ripe for
the bits I like about this that we could riff on and figure out.
The modes.
The modes is an interesting gameplay thing. Let's come back to that. The fact that they live on a planet called Twin Sun and the guy's name is Twinson.
Yeah.
I like that a lot because it's confusing and fuck our audience. Also, I've also discovered that the race is called Quetch. And that's just fun to say.
Quetch. Yeah, it is fun to say.
Quetches are aesthetically similar to humans, except that they all possess ponytails. So it's actually part of their anatomy. I love the idea that, like, if you looked at a Quetch skeleton, you would see the ponytail. Like, there's a bone in there.
So it's
either there's a bone in there or it's like a penis where it's just like, depending on how much blood is flowing through it, it kind of changes in shape.
Okay, so moving on from that, there's also like these rat folk sort of species. Then there was like elephant-looking things, and then there was also another species that was like a little fat gremlin sort of thing.
Okay.
I like the idea that it's sort of many years later, Twinson's telling his son or daughter, I'm thinking daughter, daughter, about here is
Twinsin.
Here is now I'm just imagining it's Twinson, Twinsan, Twinsin,
and they all live on Twin Sun. Yeah, they all live on Twin Sun. 3 kids: Twin San, Twin Son, and Twin Sin. But interestingly, with a Y.
Ooh. Where was I going with it? Oh yeah, but telling a story, and then Twinson gets kidnapped.
Wait, Twin Sin gets kidnapped?
No, as in the original.
Twin Sin, we've made a horrible mistake with this.
Yeah, I know.
The father. Okay, the protagonist of the original game. All right.
Well, maybe you wake up the next day and your father's gone.
Okay.
And so now you've been tasked with here is the magic amulet, here is the cloak. Here's the magic ball, here's the holo map. Go.
Just all these tools. So let's if the modes, let's go into the modes because now we're getting into the gameplay.
Yep.
So in the original game, I'm reading here, you had normal mode,
yes,
athletic mode, aggressive mode, and discreet mode.
Yes.
Do the children all have the same modes, or do they have distinct modes from each other based on their personalities?
I like the idea that they've got the same modes. It's part of the Quetch being, they actually have these 4 distinct modes.
I like the idea that they have, like, how our brain has, 2 hemispheres.
Yeah.
Like, their brain is split into 4.
Yeah.
And each of them aligns to, one of those modes. If you put them in an MRI, you will see which mode they're on based on which quarter of their brain is lighting up.
Yeah, I really like the idea that when you switch into aggressive mode, all you can do is fight, and when you switch into normal mode, you can do any talking. But if you sneak into discrete mode, then you're able to sneak. But that's all you're actually able to do. It's like
yeah. So let's have a think about, from gameplay terms, how these would play out, because I'm kind of picturing it. You know how in Assassin's Creed, like, their big thing, and one of the things they really introduced was you could just hold down the run button and sort of direct your character, and it would, like, climb shit and jump across shit and from one to the other. Like, you weren't having to do the precise things. So I'm kind of picturing each of these modes like that. So, like, maybe your athletic mode is very much that Assassin's Creed style
If you're playing on the keyboard, say you hold down Shift and you're in sporty running mode.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if you need to hold them down. I'm almost thinking, hit a button on the D-pad, right? If you're on a controller. The D-pad just switches your modes. And then if you're in athletic mode, you pretty much can't stop running.
Yep.
And if something's in your way, you'll jump over it or climb onto it or jump to the next thing, jump across any gaps.
Basically parkour. It's parkour mode, because it's all new. So,
but you're obviously going to make a lot of noise. You're not going to be very, you might piss people off, and you can't really fight in that mode either. So,
no. So I think then you decide, okay, I have to sneak into this place and steal this. I don't know, maybe it's one of your items that you need. It's been
So what was this amulet? What did this amulet do?
Basically allowed you to access your magic powers.
Oh, geez. So we've got magic here too. All right. So how does that play into the modes?
So literally all the magic was if you didn't have magic, when you threw the ball, it just came back immediately. With magic, when you threw the ball, it would bounce.
Okay, what did the ball do?
So in certain puzzles and that sort of stuff, you could throw the ball to knock a switch to actually open up an area that you couldn't get to unless you had magic. And then what's it called? I'm just trying to think. You could also throw the ball at enemies, and it would it's basically that's your ranged attack, as well as using magic because you can sort of throw it around corners and stuff.
All right. Well, let's that's really lame. So let's come up with something better. No, I like the idea of magic being your range attack because I'm watching a little bit of video here, and he sort of just throws this little yellow ball and just flies back to him. We could even do some fourth wall breaking where the kids call it lame. They have better magic, and their dad's magic is just they always making fun of him because it's just literally throwing this weird magic ball.
You know what?
This looks like a tennis ball.
I kind of love the idea that they look at the amulet and they go, Dad, you realize that all you had to do was flick this switch here and
just turns it up to full power
mode. or it's
they're discovering new stuff about the amulet so they can power it up.
Dad's amulet was always set at level 1.
Yeah.
You can power this thing up. It goes to level 50. Fuck.
All right. So I like that idea. That I like then that the magic could also play into the modes.
Mm-hmm.
So in aggressive mode, sure, your magic is your ranged attack and it damages people and hurts things. In normal mode, your magic is a way to reach out and interact with things. Is this how it worked in the original? I don't know. But I like the idea of it sort of shifting as well. So maybe if you're in normal mode and you kind of blast your magic in a direction of a switch over there, it'll turn into a big hand that reaches out and grabs it.
I was thinking, in normal mode, it's like a force push. Or force pull sort of thing.
Yeah.
In discreet, it's like your mage hand in which you can actually discreetly move something.
Yeah, either that or I was thinking some sort of cloak, cloaking, to either cloak you visually or cloak your sound temporarily or something, just to give you that little boost to get through certain areas.
Aggressive is literally
like fucking fireballs and shit.
Yeah, I was thinking fireballs. I was thinking sort of like Spartan Rage from
God of War. Yeah,
from God of War.
Yeah.
It just seems like that'd be a perfect thing. Just they're so aggressive that they just go engulfed in flames and they start beating the fuck out of people.
And then in athletic mode, maybe it's like a double jump, like a propulsion kind of thing.
Yeah,
or even a grapple.
they go into a high school wrestling sort of thing.
Not a grapple like that. Yeah, you're in athletic mode and immediately you've got one of those bloody leotards. What are they called? They're called leotards? Whatever. Unitards.
Oh,
the wrestling
I know what I'm wanting to see as it sort of goes forward. You can power up your ball power with a magic baseball bat, so you can literally throw it up in the air and just smack the ball into people and then recall it.
Yeah, this game is pretty weird. I think we could fit that in.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. The modes and the action.
I love that you're excited for a game that will never exist, but they're good for you. Good job. No, there's some cool stuff there. I do like those modes and how that would work in sort of a more modern, again, open world, full 3D, because that's all anybody makes these days. But
it's got to be open world and full 3D.
But it is fun. It is fun to bring things into that sort of modern scheme as such.
Okay, so
But let's stop
reckon
now.
we stop that there. We've had too much fun with that. Let's do some
Can't be having that much fun on this show. Yeah, look, I think we'll move into click pitch. Ramped up click pitch even. Do you want to tell our listening audience a little bit about click pitch?
No.
Well,
I mean, yeah.
We've already said fuck our audience once today. Like, why bother? We love our audience.
So, in front of us, we both have a random phrase generator, in which we'll both get an adjective and a noun. On the count of 3, 2, 1, click. We're both going to click refresh, say those words at each other, come up with a game design, and then throw it away and come up with new ones all over again.
If this random technology keeps getting better, soon it'll just be, we have a random podcast generator in front of us, 3, 2, 1, click, and then we just walk away. And then it just does the rest.
Well, there already is one. Let me read it to you.
No. No. 3, 2, 1, click. Marine opaque.
Dabbled scrapbook.
Dabbled scrapbook. All right. So originally, with my words, I was thinking like some sort of aquarium with, for some reason, like glass is obviously the opposite of opaque, but for some reason they're going opaque. But with dabbled, what did you say? Sketchbook? Scrapbook. I'm more thinking marine in like military sense.
Okay.
And some sort of mechanic in the game around keeping your scrapbook. So maybe a bit more of a narrative-based, less shooty kind of military game. We're actually telling a story about someone in the military, deployed somewhere dangerous, but they're keeping a scrapbook of the people they meet and the things that happen and their family back home and letters and, almost a bit more of a, I don't even know if you have shooty bits in it, maybe just a bit of an adventure game kind of thing.
Yeah.
Humanize the air quotes enemy a bit and actually make it an interesting exploration of what it means for these people who are deployed, for dubious reasons most of the time.
Okay, so for some reason I'm seeing this character. Her name is Catherine.
Okay.
I'm liking that. She's been in the front lines for a while.
Yeah, I like the idea that she's really got this reputation as a killer almost, like that sort of real rah-rah reputation of badass, But this is, again, we get to explore what actually happens behind that front. They call her the, I don't know, killer claws or something, cat, something to do with cats. She's Catherine, so.
I kind of like the idea that she's just sort of come back from like this massive mission. In which she's now seeing a therapist or something at this at the base, like she's having nightmares and all this sort of stuff, and basically the therapist or whatever has basically told her you need to start doing something creative to
sort through your feelings.
And all this sort of stuff. I know that you're a hard ass, but I think a scrapbook could be a good thing. To actually do, and so therefore, that's the reason why she's actually scrapbooking. It's never been her sort of scene, but she's just been having to sort of take heed and sort of collect something for each day of the scrapbook.
Yeah, and so I like the idea then that maybe you're playing through. So do you think you're playing through flashbacks then that relate to what she's putting in the scrapbook, or is it from you're playing through what's happening from this point on and now she's keeping the scrapbook as things happen?
Yeah, I think it's from now on. Maybe through some memories that you get along the way of things that she sort of doesn't want to talk about and doesn't want to hit.
Well, I think you see parts of the dreams, right?
Yeah.
You definitely, you see some dreams, you see some memories, you obviously talk to the other people in your unit and on the base, and so you definitely get a sense of what she's been through. And then the scrapbook itself, I think can also act a little bit like a diary where she writes little sections of text, like paragraphs, to put in there next to, the bullet that fucking killed her squad mate or something intense like that. She pulled out of his chest on the battlefield. No, I don't know.
So I'm starting to think that there should be like little bits of not necessarily combat missions, but as in, you and your squad jumping in the car to go like help build a school, and look after a few different things.
Yeah, I think it can definitely bring in this sort of humanitarian aspects.
And look, there can still be some firefight stuff that goes on. Like it's a war zone, but that's not the main part. Your main part is all about, you've got to patrol around this one particular area with these coordinates. So you're hitting all these different things, and as you get to the end of this, you sort of see something and sort of go, "Oh, that'll be a good collection for the scrapbook." So you get some sort of adventure but action stuff happening at the same time.
Yeah, well, actually, I like the idea that even within the action, it doesn't turn into a shooter, right? It's still more about what's happening as you're behind cover with your squad mates, and you're able to take action in some ways, like moving from one cover to the other as the sort of story progresses. I think they're more like set pieces, right? Like you'll get some freedom to move around the environment, but it's pretty much a linear story. But yeah, like you don't actually do any shooting. It's all about either supporting your other squad mates, or if shooting needs to happen, like it's not.
It becomes like I hate saying the words, but quick time event.
Well, maybe, or it's just that it's taken seriously enough. Like, if you have to shoot someone, I want the player to feel it and understand what that means. Do you know what I mean? There's no bits that just turn into shoot 10 guys and brush it off. Because the whole point of this is she's, realizing the impact of her actions when she has to shoot people when she's under fire. Which, obviously has to happen at certain times to protect yourselves and your squad, but it's taking its toll.
And I'm starting to think, this could actually be showing these are the final, 20 days before she gets to finish this tour. So,
do you think she dies?
Maybe
they send the scrapbook back to her family. That's like the final scene.
Maybe
that'd be pretty.
But that'd be pretty heart wrenching. But I just like the idea of showing this different side of what war actually is. A lot of it is humanitarian missions. A lot of it is, patrolling it.
Well, and I think just showing the conflict, like the internal conflict of the people on the ground versus the people who have sent them there, right? Like, the government have their own reasons for having people on the ground. Or in boats or whatever. Technically, the Marines are probably mostly around boats, right? But we're just going with general military. But how do the people, how do the soldiers feel about that? Particularly when you're going to have friends who are locals, right? Who are of the people who are technically the enemy as such. And I think really exploring that would be quite interesting too. Yeah.
I really like that. 3 to 1 click.
I like when we get into some serious kind of introspective stuff sometimes.
Impoverished limestone.
Legitimated kipper. All right. What's limestone used for? What's the things? Now, what do you think of when you hear the word kipper?
I think fish, for some reason.
Yeah, well, it is a type of fish, right?
Well, then that's why. So I'm thinking impoverished, I'm thinking poor, I'm thinking limestone, I'm thinking what comes to my head is cottage. And then, kipper brings back the poor and the cottage again. What was your other word?
Legitimated.
Legitimated.
So to be made legitimate or justified. So maybe it's something around like a bastard child of a royal or something. Okay,
yeah, I like this. I like this.
Okay, so we're thinking you start off. I love that we went through all these words and thought of all this stuff to get to the most common beginning of a role playing game ever.
Oh yeah.
You're a child in a poor town in a house eating kippers. I feel like that maybe that not specifically kippers happens, but and you have some grand future because you're an illegitimate child of a royal.
So I'm going to throw a little wrinkle in here.
Good, yes, because as I said, every RPG ever.
So your character not only wants to be legitimate. Well, he wants to be legitimate, but a legitimate, like, funny person. So in other words, they've always wanted to become
a comedian,
court jester.
Okay. Okay. I like the idea then that the court jester can't be of royal blood. So this is actually getting in their way of their dream.
The fact that they're a bastard and they do have royal blood.
They have royal blood. Like, maybe he doesn't know, and the whole sort of first bit of the story is him, like, they're holding auditions or whatever. Like, there's a job interview for the court jester, and, you know, he does really well and gets sort of up to the higher levels, and then, like, the king's right-hand man or whatever recognizes you. It's like, oh, holy shit, like, I thought we got rid of this kid. And pulls you aside and says, like, you can't be a jester. You're the king's son. And maybe they need you now. Like, maybe all the other king's heirs have died or something, and there's no heir to the throne. And for them to sort of keep order, they need you to become king.
So the first half of the game, you're doing all this work to become the court jester, that sort of stuff. You're doing pratfalls. You're doing, you know, funny clown
like
things
songs and you know, saving up for the highest quality bells on your jester hat.
So what I like,
maybe you start with only one. Maybe the level of a jester is like how many of the tassel things you have on your jester hat.
So what I'm thinking is your adoptive father, that you didn't know was your adoptive father, was literally the best court jester that has ever been seen.
Okay. Did he die when you were a kid? Or did he literally train you up?
That the king disliked something that he said, and he was beheaded.
Okay.
But of course, the king was actually your father.
Yep.
So, you know, your real father beheaded your adoptive father. That's gonna create some good drama in there.
Totally.
I really want this to have not necessarily adventure game sort of things, but I'm thinking it's rather Skyrim-esque.
Yeah, you know where I was heading? I don't know if it's just because of sort of the humorous mode, but Fable.
Fable, yeah.
Kind of a Fable-esque feeling to it of, I don't know, just the way you could kind of, because that kind of had emotes and stuff that you could do as you walked around and different ways you could interact with people. So
Fable
like
with a little bit of Discworld on the side. I really like the comedic thing of Discworld.
Yeah. Look, with Fable, I was even just thinking more of the kind of way it controlled and the interactions.
Cool.
But yeah, I could go a bit more that way for the sort of general tone and art style and stuff.
I've been watching a bit of Monty Python lately, so I'm
look, a kipper is definitely a British fish, right?
I'm just picturing, like, in the background of one of the scenes, like there's just a knight with a massive fish just going around and smacking peasants in the face with it.
Totally, yeah. Look, maybe you can work a kipper into your routine very, you know, effectively. And look, where I was trying to lead you before was Red Dwarf. He's always, you know, he's is it like his ultimate?
Smoke me a kipper.
Smoke me a kipper. Yeah.
I did think of that before, but I'm like, I don't know how to get Ace Rimmer in here.
I gave Ace Rimmer. I just got that's like a dirty pun.
You really only just got that.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
I suppose you don't really think about that, but
yeah. Anyway, I let you get your Red Dwarf in there. Yeah. So I like that idea a lot. And then, so how are we thinking? I mean, we talked about like just sort of RPG gameplay, but
first half of the game, you're solely in the town. Pretty much, you're sort of building yourself up to become court jester.
Yeah, or maybe like the first third kind of thing, the first act, basically.
I'm thinking that the vizier doesn't recognizes you and tries to, like, literally get you killed again. You know, like he thought that he'd killed you many, many years ago, because he wants to. I know. I think it comes back to some of the typical things. He wants to basically marry the king's daughter, just to usurp the throne, and I love Prince of Persia, but sort of stuff. Realizes that you're the bastard son that, you know, he thought he had killed years ago.
Well, I like the fact that he doesn't recognize you until you get up to like the last phase of the auditions, and you've been saving your dad's signature move, like signature joke or whatever slapstick routine, and that's what tips him off.
Yeah. So then, you sort of, I'm thinking a la Snow White or whatever it was, where the huntsman sort of takes Snow White out on certain orders, but then lets her go instead of actually chopping the heart out, sort of thing. That's the sort of thing that happens. It turns out that the vizier's power only goes to a certain level outside of the castle walls. So the huntsman that you got taken out by just lets you go, and then
Wait, is this what happens now, or this is what happened when you were a kid?
No, I'm thinking it happens now. Like the vizier tries to kill you again, but he bewitches someone to do that. So the second half of the game is you amassing an army in the outskirts,
army of jesters,
basically to come and take out the vizier.
Okay, yeah, and I like the idea then that the vizier has the king under some sort of thrall, and maybe that's even why they're recruiting jesters, because it keeps the king busy. It's much easier for the vizier if the king's sitting there laughing at jesters. It kind of helps him not have to maintain the spell as well, because the king's already distracted, and it just lets the vizier do whatever he wants, continue with his machinations to take the throne.
So I can really see this as, the first half is just in a city, you're just practicing to get up here, becoming the leader of basically these jesters. You make it into the top, and then the vizier pulls you aside, and then guards come and capture you and take you out
you get some exposition. Get taken out, but you talk your way out of it, basically, or joke your way out of it. I love the idea of dialogue options where you can either try to do a joke or be serious. And that sort of thing. And depending on your skill levels,
Yeah, and so
is there any
speech you can? I think
is there combat then?
There is some combat, but it's all sort of like slapstick stuff.
Okay, it's like you've got moves where if two people are coming to you from either side, you can fall on your butt and they stab each other, and someone's got a big lance or you've got a big lance and you're swinging it around and ducking under it and the kind of Charlie Chaplin stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. I'd love to figure out how those sort of gameplay mechanics would work, where you could keep those sorts of animations in there and actually still let you take people out. But I like it.
Yeah, I just really like the idea of you're sort of not allowed to exit the city at the start, and then you're not allowed to enter the city through the middle part of the game, and then the final part of the game is you literally sneaking back in with your
So I like the idea there
band
that
of jesters.
You team up with your half sister, the king's daughter, because obviously she doesn't want the fucking vizier to marry her, and so at some point you kind of help her get free, or she helps you get free, or whatever, right?
And then she teaches you. Then she teaches you proper combat.
Yeah, that's cool. So you're obviously the Joker, the Jester, and she's actually been well trained in combat and can kick some ass. Yeah, I like that. I also like the idea of having a male-female relationship that's not romantic. So
yes,
that's kind of fun.
I like enough that the half sister is almost like your Arya Stark. So really, really good with the blade.
Yeah,
is effectively like an assassin.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
for sure,
sort of teaches you. It's almost sort of like the way that I would have liked Assassin's Creed to almost be, in the fact that you start off not being an assassin and you sort of get taught towards the end, and you end up being an assassin towards the end.
Yeah, that's cool. And then the whole game has to end on some horrible joke, pun or something that you say to the vizier as you kill him.
And it's it's something that was said right near the start that you're sort of like, oh god, let's hope this doesn't come back. And it comes back just as he's killing him.
Something ridiculous as you're torturing him, and you got your sword and you put your sword next to his head and you're like, you're not going to need vizier, are you? And you cut his ear off. And then just to really rub it in, you do it to his other ear and just make the same joke. And what about vizier? He's like, I got it the first time, you asshole.
I kind of like the idea that you find out that a lot of the previous jesters in this thing were also assassins, in that your father was like...
Okay. It turns out your father was actually okay.
And so
like that
leads into, sort of future games in this.
Yeah, I love that that's a big revelation right at the end. That the whole time, like, you're thinking, oh my god, like, this is so unusual. I'm this jester, but I'm learning to be an assassin. And then, oh, maybe your dad's alive.
Ooh.
Maybe, like, the last thing is, like, your dad comes out of the sort of the dark.
Well, your adoptive father.
Yeah. Of course.
Your real dad's still alive.
Yeah. The adoptive father. I love the idea, because maybe there's been, like, mysterious figures who have helped you here and there. But I love the scene of your dad kind of coming, that typical thing, coming out of the dark so their face can be seen. He, like, and like I said, the amount of jester, like, tassels is how good of a jester you are. But he like brushes like 100 tassels back from his hat over his, and there's just this dinging of the bells at the end. It's like ding, 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 ding. And he's like, "It's me. I am your father. Welcome to the assassins. The Jester Assassins."
No, you know what I want it to be.
What's it called?
He's saying it to his sister. He goes, "Oh, I'm tired," and then you hear from the back, "Hi, tired. I'm Dad." Yes. Oh god. I reckon
3,
we
2,
can
1,
leave it
click.
there.
Yes. It's not getting better than that. 3, 2, 1, click. Succinct toweling.
Beaded buggy.
Okay.
So you saying sorry,
toweling. Succinct toweling, yes.
As soon as you said toweling, my head with beaded sort of went to like beads of sweat.
Okay, I was just going with beads of water or liquid in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Yeah.
So I'm thinking, and this is going to be weird.
Okay.
It's a VR game in which you play a towel boy that has to like wipe down these people at a gym. So they come up to you and you've got beads of sweat and you've got to like sort of use your towels to like.
And you have to be succinct about it, otherwise they don't. Well, particularly when you're toweling off certain areas.
Well, it's not only just toweling off people, but you're also toweling off the machines.
Okay. Is that where Buggy come? Where does Buggy come in? Maybe do you get to like upgrade to like a golf course or something? Towel off buggies.
That could be cool. Yeah, I like that. Sort of like a June buggy that you're on a beach having to towel people off.
Oh yeah, you're like you got your towel off service. Where you're hooning around this beach waiting for people to get out of the ocean so you can say, "You want me to towel you off?" So what's the challenge? Like, is it just a matter of being efficient, using both sides of the towel when one side gets wet, having additional towels for people with lots of hair or large bodies?
Yeah, I think you got different types of towels. You got you sort of got higher threaded count towels for like rich people, and then you've got like beach towels that can like soak up salt water better than.
Oh, interesting. You got towels that smell nice. Yeah. I like the idea that you've got like, because you're such an expert, you're the master toweler, that you've got like the different sorts of towels for when they first get out of the water. You use this to like get the most of the water off, and then you switch to your like finer threaded towel to really polish, get those little drips that stick to the hair and stuff. And then you've got your head towel that really like wraps around and soaks up the hair, that soaks up the water from the hair. Okay, and still VR.
Yeah, I like VR.
kind of writes itself, this one.
Yep.
I'm just trying to think if there's anywhere else we can go with it. Oh, well, you got to get some towel whipping mechanics in there. Maybe you have to like fend off other towelers who are also
other towelers, or if you're on the beach, or there's I'm thinking crabs or
you've just got enemies,
other little things that are coming to like take the towels away. So you got to
Or get your person
flick the
wet
towel
again.
out.
Like maybe there are little kids with water pistols, and if you don't get them off, then they're going to wet down your client again. It's going to take you even longer because there's obviously a time limit. I like the idea also with the different sorts of towels. Some towels are going to be better for whipping, so you can either, if it's desperate, you're going to have to whip with your really expensive towel and maybe damage it in some way. But you're better off switching to your whipping towel, which has ball bearings at one end.
Jesus Christ.
Sewed into the corner. Gives you a good welt.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm going to leave
Take
that
an eye
there.
out.
3 to 1 click.
Okay.
Malignant heartburn.
Inseparable sapphire. I'm getting mystical vibes off this again. Wizardly vibes of some sort.
I don't know. I'm seeing my malignant heartburn, and I'm sort of thinking, indigestion and cancer. It's sort of not.
Well, but that's where I'm kind of going to Inseparable Sapphire, almost in a fantasy-style Tony Stark way, where this magical sapphire has to be kept next to their heart because they have some sort of fatal disease that's going to otherwise kill them.
Okay.
Now, either we take that as sort of a feature of the main character, or we use that to spin this into we've done this sort of before, but not exactly in this way, but I was thinking like a fantasy doctor's game, which we did something similar a while ago, but that was more goofy where you were a troll sort of thing. I'm thinking this is more learning the systems around different crystals that will do different things to the body, and more of a, not surgeon simulator in that wackiness, but more of you are literally operating on these people and having to use the right tools for the right job.
Okay.
Or we can just go with a narrative thing where this character has this feature.
I do like a narrative game. I do like the idea that this wizard, he goes to the local healer. He had some heartburn, basically wasn't feeling too good, went to the healer, said, well, actually, you're dying. Here, carry the sapphire, and you'll be able to live a normal life. However, there is this mystical plant that you can get, and if you get it for me, then I can make you a cure, and you won't have to carry the sapphire anymore. But beware that once you've held onto the sapphire, you can never
separate.
Let go of it, set it down. Otherwise, you will immediately start to succumb to the
all right, that's cool.
Malignancy.
That's cool, and I like where that ends up. I've got a much better way to get there.
Yep.
Instead of a wizard, an all-powerful being, going, oh, I've got some heartburn, and going to a healer, I think that this wizard is in some sort of battle with a demon, and he takes a blast to the heart and to the chest, and in the heat of the moment, because he knows he's nearly dead, he casts some spell, pulls the sapphire out, and right, a friggin' abracadabra or whatever, and just shoves it into his chest.
A la Tony Stark.
Well, kind of.
With the arc reactor.
Yeah, but I'm literally saying he puts his fist into his chest and shoves it next to his, this is a badass sorcerer.
Yep.
And then he goes to the healer, and the healer's like, what the fuck did you do? And the guy's just like, well, look, I would have died. This is field, medicine here. I was in the heat of the battle. And then the doctor's like, all right, I guess. But if you don't want this sapphire in your chest forever, you're going to have to find me this fucking plant. And then that's what sets you on your quest.
Awesome.
I just love the idea. He's just got this scarred up wound on his buff, hairy chest. I've got a thing for buff wizards.
Yeah, you do. You do seem to have
There's something about broad-chested, bare-chested wizards with their big beards and their fucking awesome pointy hats.
So what I'm seeing is you can just see a little bit of the sapphire when he's got his his bare chest out,
which he always does.
Yeah, he always does. You can see a little bit of the sapphire, but I'm seeing that the veins running out from where that sapphire bit are just like this bright, brilliant blue.
Yeah, I love that.
So, really, it's sort of painting a target as to where the bloody sapphire is.
Oh, totally, yeah. And if you get hit there, it does more damage. You're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah. So, it's sort of like a linear action adventure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think from that point now, you're playing this wizard and you've got cool attacks you can do, and the story goes on from there and unfolds.
Yeah, I'm seeing it almost like a God of War sort of linear combat. You're heading to
totally
into this one thing, but there's also some side quests along the way and things that you can unlock. And
yeah, I like that a lot. I like that idea of actually very God of War-esque. I think would work quite well. But obviously, instead of his mostly sort of melee based stuff, it's all
spell based.
Longer range area of effect spells, really, cool looking attacks and effects. Yeah.
I'm seeing him walking with his magical staff that he can also swing around and like fire out.
Oh, totally.
I think also maybe you can fight with. And
I think maybe you can switch between, again, a la God of War, but maybe you get to switch between like a handheld, either some sort of like a wand or or you hold your book of power and cast spells with your hand or something. And that's more of better range attacks and that sort of thing. And then, but you can pull out your staff. And
what I like is that the wand and the staff are the same thing. But sort of like the wand is like the small version, and then he sort of flicks it around in his hand and just shoves his fist down by his side, and like the wand just grows into this massive staff.
That's cool too. Or I kind of had the thought that like the wand clicks into the top of the staff, so he like carries the bottom part of the staff on his back all the time, and when he needs to switch to it, he just like reaches behind and like plugs the wand into the top and then pulls it out. But yeah, I mean, he's a wizard. He can probably just magically transform it.
Yeah. Oh god, I'm really liking this.
That's really cool. Yeah, I feel like that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, your inseparable sapphire bit with the demon sort of gives you a perfect opening in that you're in this battle that that you can't win right at the very start. So no matter like how it ends,
it kicks off. It's one of those classic game beginnings where you're thrown right into the action.
Yeah.
And if you've played it before or you're pretty good at games, maybe you'll last a bit longer, but it's always gonna end the same way.
Yeah, there's literally no way to end it any other way other than the fact that you get blasted in the heart by this massive attack.
Yeah.
But it happens just after you happen to pick up the sapphire from the ground. Like
or maybe you've just grabbed it before you've gone into this fight or something. So you've got some idea that, it's a good vessel or something, a good magical vessel. And he's like, oh, maybe I'll, maybe
the
I'll
intro
make this
cinematic
into
is literally him going, I've got the sapphire of extended life.
Well, no, I like the idea that it's more that he puts the magic into it or casts the spell on it. But maybe it does start with, maybe it's a very powerful vessel that, that in this world of magic, wizards can do things where if they've got a powerful enough vessel, then that becomes sort of a permanent spell of sorts. And he had grand plans for what he was going to use it for, right? It was some sort of big, I don't know, weapon or something, maybe not a weapon, maybe something that was going to help people with, like it was going to, it's going to be like a weather spell that made sure that all the crops were going to grow or something, year round. But then obviously this happens and he's like, well, he had to save himself and now he doesn't have it to use for this thing.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, I want the game.
Yeah, we always do this. I want all these games. End. The end of the game is him going up against the demon again.
Yes.
And this time, or maybe, it turns out that I'm wondering whether you do like a time sort of thing and basically you can come back, fight alongside yourself to actually stop yourself from being hit.
You could go that way. I'm kind of thinking maybe, because presumably you've met some people along the way and there's some sort of different relationships there. I like the idea that to save one of your companions from this demon, you have to now pull the sapphire out of your chest.
Oh, God.
And enchant it in some way And again, like it's this powerful vessel. You can now, put the magic into it that it will decimate this demon. And in your
but in doing that, you sacrifice yourself.
You're sacrificing yourself. Except, of course, like epilogue or like denouement is, by now you've found the herbs or whatever. Like maybe he was protecting them. This is the last thing you had to do before you found the plant that was going to cure you properly. And your companion who you save, makes the final potion.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Cool. 3, 2, 1, click.
That had a really cool arc.
Final one, I reckon. Final one for today.
All right. Final quick one. Touring casket.
Calico arson.
All right. So, okay, here's where my mind went. Because for touring casket, I didn't actually really want to do something particularly around just dead people or the undead. So I was thinking, and then from touring, I went to like a band.
Oh, again.
I know we did a band thing last week, but bear with me. Or should I say, cat with me. That doesn't make sense. But what I was thinking, because you said calico, is that this is, in a cat world. And your cats.
Okay.
And what was the other word?
Arson.
Arson, right. And because you've got... Well, we did do stuff around the fucking effects last week, didn't we? But still, rock and roll cats is pretty cool.
Okay. Calico cat world like. Touring and casket. I'm sort of thinking vampires. So cats and vampires.
Vampire band.
I was thinking touring is in like this
like
Cat
visit,
Dracula.
like holidaying.
This cat Dracula is touring.
Cacula? Okay, yeah.
Bram Stoker's Cat Dracula.
Catula.
Cat killer.
Cat killer.
Cat killer. So I'm thinking you play a young cat who basically has been caught for accidentally burning down his family's cottage.
His family's cat tree.
Yes, but what they happen to find is basically the bodies of maybe your family, but they had holes in their neck, and so you're now being trained to become like a vampire killer. And one of the only sort of thing that remains from some of the vampire stories is like fire can really hurt Dracula or Cacula. Such a weird name. So fire, some staking, but I like the idea that they've decided to go with the whole arson thing is the way that they're going to tackle Dracula.
Okay. I like that. I really want to lean into this cat thing.
Yep.
So I like the idea that their houses look like cat trees, like they're sort of built on different levels and have like dangly things off them. I'm wondering if they're not even particularly anthropomorphic, like they're still walking on 4 legs. Now, I know that's going to cause some issues with combat and stuff, but I think we're up to the task.
Because we don't have to develop.
Because we don't actually have to come up with the cool animation systems that allow a fucking cat on 4 legs to somehow stake a wooden stake into Cacula. We've got to come up with
don't forget, they're not going with the wooden stake. They're going with like the makeshift flamethrower that they've got attached to the back.
Oh yeah, so even easier. Even easier.
But I'm thinking that yes, they walk on all 4s, but they've still managed to be able to use tools and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
They kind of some sort of opposable things, but they still have to. Oh yeah, they've got the opposable tail.
You can use their tail.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. That really, really helps.
So I just got this cat holding a flamethrower and its fucking prehensile tail.
Yeah, prehensile tail. Really, really, really like that part. They can actually. They've got clothes and that sort of stuff, so you can build up your armor and shit.
Yeah.
I'm thinking somewhat role-play-y, but
yeah, I'm not sure which way to go with it.
Yeah. Not Skyrim, not Fable.
No, I don't know. I don't know about roleplay.
I was thinking RPG light though. Almost.
Yeah, I guess like more Mass Effect-y.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, okay, that could work. I like the idea of having some nice conversation animation between these cats. And for authenticity, they all just speak in meows and purrs, and it's subtitled. But it's all still fully voiced. Like it goes along with. You can tell. You can feel the emotion in each.
Literally went and got 300 cats.
No. They got people who are really good at making cat sounds, so they could act. They need to be able to act.
No, what they did is they got a whole heap of celebrities who have cats and got them to bring in their cats and make them purr.
Celebrity cats.
Celebrity cats.
Celebrity cats is definitely going to be better actors than everyday cats.
Exactly. So you've been hired for this voice part, but you're not actually doing it. So the only reason why I got this part is because I got a cat, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. And then, yeah, you come up across... You come up against the Cacula, I guess. But first, you have to defeat...
Cacula in his catskit?
Oh, God, no, that's going too far. But anyway, first you have to defeat his sidekick, who is a succubus. See, leave room for my bad puns.
I like a succubus.
Anyway,
it's
that's
cool.
Cool.
Sounds so freaking bad. God, I think we'll call it there.
On Succubus? Yeah, let's call it on Succubus. Let's just say Succubus a few more times. Title of the episode. All right, so thank you for joining us this week on Bitstorm. If you want to find us online and listen to our previous 103 odd episodes, I just mean they're odd. They're exactly 103. No, then go to podchaser.com/Bitstorm. It's the easiest way to find all of our stuff. You can listen to us on a bunch of different players there, or find the iTunes or the whatevers. We've got YouTube's up there with some additional stuff. Yeah, go check it out.
Awesome. While you're checking out stuff, go check out the AGPN, the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Just search for #AGPN on Twitter or the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook. Find a whole heap of awesome people out there and check out their podcasts. Finally, we'd like to thank Kuradust for the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
That's it. So, thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And I'm being attacked by a demon. Oh my god, abracadabra. I'm alive still.